Hi everyone, I'm Letian from SPM paper, and in this video I will explain 2020 Kelantan AddMath paper 2 question 6. So for this question, it tells us it has a spherical raindrop. So it's a sphere. It also tells us that volume increase at a constant rate from 0.054 millimeter cube to 0.316 millimeter cube in 25 seconds. So these are all the important information provided by the question. In a mathematical form, it looks like this. So when time equal to 0, the volume is 0.054 millimeter cube. And then when time is equal to 25 seconds, volume is equal to 0.316 millimeter cube. Okay, now the question asks us, the part A asks us to find rate of volume. I think it's easier to understand if we write it as rate of change of volume. Or in another more simpler words, like how fast the volume is changing relative to time. So rate of change of volume is dV over dt. How fast the volume of the raindrop is changing relative to time. So to find dV dt, the question already tells us it's changing at a constant rate. So we can simply find dV dt by using dV over dt equal V2 minus V1 over T2 minus T1. So the V2, which is the final volume, is 0.316 and V1 is 0.054. T2, 25 seconds here, and T1 is 0. So we put into our calculator. We get 0.01048 millimeter cube per second. So this is the rate of change of volume. Okay, now we can move on to part B. Part B asks us to find the rate at which surface area increases when its radius is 1.2 millimeter. So in mathematical form, rate of change of surface area, if A is surface area, rate of change of surface area is dA dt. Basically means how fast the surface area is changing relative to time. When the radius is 1.2 millimeter, R is 1.2. Okay, so to find this thing, dA dt, we need to make use of the formula provided in the question. So the question already tells us V equal to 4/3 pi r cubed for a sphere, and the surface area of a sphere is A equal to 4 pi r squared. So we can write that now. V is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. This one is volume of sphere. And also we know that A is equal to 4 pi r squared. This one is area of sphere. In order to find dA over dt, we need to use this thing called the chain rule. So chain rule is something that looks like this. For example, we want dA over dt, right? Equal something multiplied by something. However, this one we can write here dA and this one right here dt. Here and here it can be something, but they have to be the same. So if we put in a term and they are the same, then they can cancel off each other. These two can cancel off each other, and we get back dA over dt. So this is how the chain rule works. So in this case, to find dA over dt, right, we can use dv over dt and dA over dv. Why do we use dv? Because we already have dv over dt from the previous question. From here, we already have dv over dt. That's why we want dv over dt, because this is something we already know. Then now let us look at another one, dA over dv. We don't already know what is dA over dv. So we need to apply the chain rule one more time. So what is dA over dv? Again, we write something multiplied by something. Need to fill in something over here and something over here. So what is left here? Now we already use up A, we already use up V. What we have not used is the radius R. So we fill in R to the place dr. Okay. So now all we need is, we can substitute back this thing into here. Substitute. Okay, so now the equation will look like this. dA over dt is equal to dA over dr multiplied by dr over dv multiplied by dv over dt. So now all we need to do is find dA over dr, dr over dv, and dv over dt. After we find out these three things, we are able to find dA over dt. Okay. To find dA over dr, we can use this formula. We know A equal to 4 pi r squared. We differentiate it with respect to r. dA over dr is equal to 8 pi r. And then we want to find dr over dv. We can make use of this formula, v equal to 4 over 3 pi r cubed. So dv over dr is 4 pi r squared. Differentiate it. So dr over dv, you invert it, become 1 over 4 pi r squared. Let me add one more pages. And the question already tells us the radius r is, the question tells us r is 1.2. So substitute in, then r is 1.2. dA over dr is equal to 8 pi multiplied by r 1.2 equal to 48 over 5 pi. On the other hand, dr over dv is equal to 1 over 4 pi 1.2 squared. 1 over 4 pi. We get a value 0.05526. Okay. So now we already have dA over dr. We have dr over dv. We also have dv over dt here. We can substitute all three into this equation to find dA over dt. So again, dA over dt is equal to dA over dr multiplied by dr over dv multiplied by dv over dt. Substitute in dA over dr, which is 48 over 5 pi. And then substitute in dr over dv, 0.055262 multiplied by dv over dt. dv dt is this one, 0.01048. 0.01048. Put into the calculator. 0.010. We get dA over dt equal to 0.01747. So this is the final answer. The rate of change of area is 0.01747.